Prime Minister Viktor Orbán is also honoring us. We have a government meeting in the morning, so we have a time frame. Therefore, please be very disciplined when asking your questions, also considering others. But before that, I would like to ask the Prime Minister to deliver his introduction. Thank you very much, Zoltán. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is the constitutional customs in Hungary that in the beginning of the year or the end of the year we have an international press conference and we offer therein the opportunity to ask questions without limitations eventually, or also give us their comments. So heartfelt welcome to all of you at this year closing press conference. This afternoon, as you could hear, there's going to be a government meeting, which we will obviously also inform you sometime tomorrow. Now, before giving the floor to you, with your kind permission, I would like to shortly summarize, approaching the end of the year, so to summarize that from the government's aspect, what the 2022 year looked like for Hungarians. What I can tell you is that since the political transformation or the change of regime, according to my memories, this was the single most difficult year of Hungary.
Kontinens, és így benne Magyarország is egy új korszakba, a veszélyek korszakába lépett, és ez egy rendkívül nehéz évet rajzolt föl a magyarok számára. Viszont az a rossz mellett az a jó azért ebben ott van, hogy a nehéz években nyújtott teljesítményt azt az ember mindig legalább kétszeres súllyal értékeli, ezért nincs túlzás a szavainkban, ha azt mondom, hogy Magyarország az elmúlt 30 év legnehezebb évében rendkívüli teljesítményt nyújtott. Összeszedtem néhány pontban, hogy miben is áll ez. Először is rendkívül teljesítmény nyújtott Magyarország a parlamenti választáson, hiszen ebben az évben parlamenti választás is volt, és ez most nem csak egy kormány megalakulásáról szólt, hanem egy valódi szabadságharc is volt. A választáson meg kellett védeni Magyarország függetlenségét és szuverenitását, ugyanis a nemzetközi szereplők olyan súllyal vettek részt a magyar parlamenti választásban, mint korábban még sohasem.
That was unprecedented.
Csak az eddig felszínre került tények alapján nyugodtan mondhatjuk, hogy mintegy 3 milliárd forintnyi dollár állt szemben 3 millió szavazóval, és az utóbbiak győztek. Ez egy nagyszerű teljesítmény. Ráadásul nem is akárhogyan, hiszen a legfontosabbat hozták létre a magyar választók a döntésükkel, egy stabil, cselekvőképes és kiszámítható kormányzatot, már pedig nehéz időkben mindenki tudja, egész Európa tudna erről mesélni, a legnagyobb érték a kormányzati cselekvőképesség. Ezzel úgy tűnik, hogy folytatni fogjuk azt a hagyományt, amely 1990 óta megkülönbözteti Magyarországot az összes többi európai államtól. Nincs még egy olyan ország az Unióban biztosan, ahol 1990 óta ne tartottak volna előrehozott választásokat. Nyugodtan mondhatjuk, hogy stabilitás és kiszámíthatóság szempontjából egész Európában Magyarország az első helyen áll, még a stabilitásról híres németeknél is volt legalább egyszer egy választás a Gergő szerint kétszer is, de az is több, mint a 0,0. Tehát egyelőre úgy látszik, hogy ezt a hungarikumot sikerült föntartanunk. Az is fölértékeli a választási teljesítményt, hogy nyilvánvaló, hogy a brüsszeli és a liberális világ az baloldali kormányt akart. Később biztos beszélünk erről, hogy a Unióban megkötendő szerződések miért nem jöttek létre időben, hiszen már 21 nyarán is megkötettük volna például a új indítási alapról szóló szerződéseket, minden körülmény készen állt, adott volt, azért nem kötötték meg velünk, mert kormányváltást akartak Magyarország, és nem akartak nekünk a választás előtt pénzt adni, ez ilyen egyszerű, és nem hiszem, hogy túlzok, ha azt mondom, hogy ugyanez a cél most Lengyelország esetében is, ahol szintén baloldali kormány szeretne látni Brüsszel. Ezzel magyarázhatók
Brussels also wants to see a leftist government in Poland, and this is why there is this debate between Poland and Brussels concerning European funds. Now, all in all, we can say that Hungarians said no to foreign intervention. They said no to the dollar left and the dollar left side, and I don't think that this would change soon in Hungary. The other outstanding performance that Hungary has shown in 2022 was that we managed to stay out of the war.
A háborúból nekünk mindenképpen ki kell maradnunk, részben azért, mert a szomszédunkban sok magyar él, részben azért, mert a háború mindig rossz, minden nap emberek halnak meg, több százmillió is meghalt már ebben a háborúban, akiket az ukrán hadseregbe soroztak be.
Hungarians who were conscripted
olyan háborúval van dolgunk, amely nem csak a szomszédunkban zajlik, hanem az a különlegesség, hogy eddig csak vesztesei vannak. Vesztese a két egymással szemben álló fél, és vesztese az európai gazdaság is. Nagyon súlyos gazdasági veszteségeket szenvedünk el, szankciós, háborús felárakat fizetünk, és a 23-as év szinte minden európai ország számára azt a kihívást hozza, hogy el tudja kerülni a gazdasági visszaesést, illetve a recessziót, ami egyenesen a háborúból, illetve a háborúban való európai részvételből fakadó szankcióknak neveznek. A magyar fölfogás szerint, ha el akarod kerülni, hogy részt vegyél egy háborúba, akkor ne engedd, hogy belesodorjanak téged. Szerintem Európa nagy része már benne van ebben a háborúban, belesodródott. Aki fegyvert szállít, az benne van a háborúban, legalább okáig. Aki az egyik hadviselő fél katonáit kiképzi, az benne van térdig. Nem csak a katonákat képzi egyénileg, hanem még műveleti, tehát irányítási képzést is az benne van kötésig a háborúban. Ha pedig az egyik hadviselő felett teljes egészében finanszírozza most már nem csak a hadikiadásokat, hanem az állam működését is, mint hogy az Európai Unió teszi most 18 milliárd euró erejéig, az fügyig van benne a háborúban. Nagyon remélem, hogy nem keveredik bele Európa nyaki ebbe a háborúba. Magyarország minden esetre kívül tudott maradni mindezen, és föl tudta tartani a nagy nemzetközi nyomás ellenére is azt az álláspontját, hogy azonnali tűzszünetre, azonnali béketárgyalásokra és békére van szükség. Mindamellett teljesítettük azt a emberiesség és keresztényi kötelességünket, hogy a bajba jutottaknak segíteni kell, és bár ez nem a mi háborúnk, ennek ellenére Magyarország legnagyobb humanitárius akcióját indítottuk meg a háború kitörésekor, hogy segítsünk az ukránoknak. Rengeteg embert fogadtunk be, illetve engedtük át Magyarország területén, és mindenkinek ellátást biztosítottunk, aki pedig itt akart maradni, az itt is maradhatott, és megkapott mindent, amit ma egy magyar ember megkap Magyarországon. A harmadik kiemelkedő teljesítménye Magyarországnak 22-ben az volt, hogy a migrációval szemben továbbra is álltuk a sarat. Minden évben nehéz feladat ez. Az idei év azért volt különleges, mert mi vagyunk az egyetlen olyan európai ország, amelyet egyszerre két irányból helyez nyomás alá a menekültügy. A déli migrációs útvonal mellé megjelent az Ukrajnából érkező menekültek milliós áradata. Nincs még egy olyan ország, talán Románia valamelyest, amely egyidejűleg mind a két nyomásnak ki lenne téve. Nagyon nehéz volt ilyen körülmények között a déli határvédelmét fenntartani. Több mint 250 000 illegális határátlépési kísérletet hiúsítottak meg a magyar rendőrök és a határvadászok és a katonák, ami egy fantasztikus teljesítmény. Köszönettel is tartozunk érte. A negyedik rendkívüli teljesítménye Magyarországnak az volt, hogy képesek voltunk finanszírozni a megemelkedett energiaárakat. Úgy kell elképzelniük, hogy 2021-ben a teljes magyar energiaimportért nemzetgazdaság teljes egészét tekintve fizettünk körülbelül 7 milliárd eurót, és ez 22-ben 17 milliárdra nőtt. Tehát ugyanazért a mennyiségű energiáért 10 milliárd euróval többet kellett fizetni az idején, de ezt elő kellett teremteni. És erre Magyarország képes volt, nem csak előteremtett 10 milliárd eurót, ez 4000 milliárd forint, hanem úgy teremtette elő ezt az összeget, hogy közben a lakosságnak
in such a way that at the same time the utility protection scheme for the population has been sustained, and probably foreign journalists don't know, but in Hungary, every month each and every family gets approximately 180,000 forints of subsidy. This is approximately 450 euros per month. This goes to all families, helping them in their utility costs. I know no other country in Europe which each and every month would provide 450 euros of support to each and every family per month in energy price support. And the good news is that this is not only for 2022, but if you were attentive to the words of the Minister of Finance last year, this has already been insured for 2023. The fifth outstanding performance of Hungary this year was that the labor-based economy was something we managed to sustain, and we had record breakings because never ever we had so many people active in the field of labor in Hungary. This we are now, we've just reached a 30 years peak because 74.6% of people are working. And I'd also like to draw your attention to the fact that we had elections and still we managed to decrease the deficit of the state budget. Now, this is not without a parallel, because the same happened in 2018, which was an election year, and we did this in 2022 as well, in such a way that we also brought back the 13th month's pension, and we also introduced the tax shelter for those under 25, and we also refunded the personal income tax for many families. Now, the sixth outstanding performance of Hungary was that we managed to agree with the European Union, and this is an outstanding performance in my view, because we had to overcome the Hungarophobia which is prevailing in the Western world, and despite this Hungarophobia we had to achieve these agreements, which agreements in the upcoming couple of days probably will also manifest in their physical nature and will be signed. Ladies and gentlemen, only two sentences after this about the outlook for 2023 as it appears from the winter fog. The most important thing in 2023 for Hungary is still going to be staying out of the war, and the second most important thing will be to stay out of the European recession. So the economic growth in Hungary should be positive and not negative. And we would also like to achieve that by the end of next year, December to December, so year on year, we would like to drive back inflation to a single-digit inflation, and on the government meeting today, hopefully we are going to make decisions about the fact that the tax shelter for those under 25 will be increased to 30 for those women who are willing to have children. So this is what 2023 will look like. We will defend and protect ourselves, but we will not give up our major goals: sovereignty, freedom, full employment, and the support of families. These are the major objectives of 2023, which we don't want to abandon, even against the difficulties we'll have to face in 2023. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Should there be any questions, I'm ready to answer these questions. Your Excellency, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much. The first question opportunity goes to MTA, Hungarian news agency.
Jó napot kívánok, Mészáros László vagyok az M1-től.
Good day, my name is László Mészáros from M1 MTVA. Mr. Prime Minister, the European Parliament has been criticizing Hungary since 2011. In the light of that, how do you view that there was a huge corruption scandal shaking the fundamentals of that institution? Second, you mentioned that the leftist parties got subsidies from abroad. In the recent days, we've seen coverages in the press that the leftist media also got a lot of subsidies from abroad. What is your take on that? How do you view that? It is not my duty to be impolite before Christmas, but I don't really see the difference between leftish parties and leftish media. I think it's the same thing. In my mind, there's no limitation between the two. So I think the support that goes to one or the other, in our view, it is the same thing. It's political support and subsidy. Now, as regards the European Parliament and their corruption scandal, in this respect, we are not in an easy situation because immediately the devil would like to have a word. And you know, Hungarian language has good terms for these situations. But since we're also part of the European Union, therefore, you should not view this from an external angle, from an external point of view, which you would do immediately, saying that
De valójában ez a baj, ez ugye a személyében szerencsére magyarokat úgy látom nem éri.
His head is big. This is a Hungarian proverb, but I think that this is not affecting Hungarians since, the scandal. But this is still a bad news for Europe, because we have disputes and debates with the European institutions, but the fact that they lose their credibility and this hypocrite approach, which is well known, this character comes to the surface. This really damages
ugyanakkor meg azt is igazolja, hogy a magyar parlamentnek az a döntés az Európai jövőjéről szóló vita kapcsán, hogyan képzeljük az uniós intézmények jövőjét, nem volt megalapozatlan. Ott a parlamenti határozatban az olvasható, hogy a magyarok azt szeretnék, ha felszámolnák az Európai Parlamentet ebben a formájában. Azt szeretnék, hogyha az Európai Parlament a nemzeti parlamentekből delegált képviselőkből állna, és az ügy arra hívja fel a figyelmet, hogy a nemzeti parlamentekben sokkal erőteljesebb ellenőrzési rendszerek működnek a képviselők irányába, mint amilyenek ma működnek, illetve nem működnek az Európai Parlamentben. Tehát ha erősebb ellenőrzésre
working today. So if you want to have stricter control under the European Parliament, then it would be better to have, instead of direct elections, the national parliaments would delegate members to the European Parliament. This had been the case in the life of the European Union, so this is not just a strange idea. And of course our political stance is probably very well known. Now if there is a swamp and you want to fight against that, you will have to drain that swamp.
Stefan?
Next floor, question goes to Stefan, yes.
Köszönöm szépen, miniszterelnök úr. Mivel van német
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. Since there is a German translation, I will say it in German, or shall I say it in English? You mentioned migration
magyar határon,
on the
és
Hungarian border, migratory waves.
Nagy számban
and
visszaküldték, illetve sokan elérik Magyarországon keresztül Ausztriát, és további nyugati országokat.
Would it be correct to say that Hungary tries to push back at the borders, but is letting through migrants as soon as they reached the Hungarian territory? Thank you.
If you allow me, I would like to answer rather in Hungarian.
Ha megengedi, inkább magyarul válaszol.
Először is
allow me to answer in Hungarian.
A kerítés nem tökéletes.
First of all, the fence is not perfect.
De ha összevetjük a beszivárgás jelenségét, amiről ön beszél, azzal a képpel, amelyet mindannyian érzünk még 2015-ből,
with the picture that we still safeguard from 2015, when 100,000 just marched into the southern railway station, and then from there to west, then the difference is clear.
Fokozódó nyomás miatt a kerítés nem zár légmentesen, és bár 250 000 határátlépési kísérletet megakadályoztunk, mégis valaki keresztüljut, hogy bár ma Magyarországon börtönben ül 2500 ember
and that there are 2,500 traffickers and human beings are in prison, but still you have newer and newer people who venture to go for
három dolgot tudunk tenni.
Human trafficking, this means that we still need the fence. We can do three things, and we are doing this.
Első,
number one
felállítottunk
is
egy teljesen új, csak határvédelemmel foglalkozó
brand new force an armed force which is just responsible for the protection of the border. We are called them border hunters. It is different when you just deploy troops to there, or when you have troops whose main and only duty is that. Number two is that we're celebrating the Schengen membership of Croatia, because this makes it possible that the Croatian-Hungarian border, which was a Schengen border and had to be protected, so we can deploy troops from there to the Serb border, and that means we will be more effective than we were. And the third thing we do is that we agreed with the Serbs and the Austrians that a long-term lasting structure will be set up, and therefore a border alliance, border protection alliance has been set up, the first activity of which is that on the Serb-Hungarian border there's going to be strong protection, but this will be pushed further to the North Macedonian border, and this is what we try to protect effectively. And should we be successful, we will do the same with the Serb-Bulgarian border. Here the leadership goes to Serbia, but Austria also has a significant added value in this respect. And the third summit is going to happen in Vienna quite soon. Thank you very much. Origo has the floor. Thank you very much. My name is András Kovács from Origo. To what extent do you see any parallel in the fact that the left parties in Brussels, they got foreign funds and monies, therefore they have been representing foreign interests, and to what extent can this be compared to the Hungarian situation, or is this just a general feature of the left that they get foreign monies? I mean, left forces get foreign monies everywhere. Well, it would be very good to say that corruption is only characteristic to leftist parties, but we all know that this is not the case and this is not true. And we also see that in the European Parliament, as the number of those affected increases, a lot of People's Party representatives are involved.
Törvénytelenül elfogadott pénzek
So
gyakorlata.
it wouldn't be fair to say that the practice of accepting illegal money and unlawful money, this is only present on the left of the political space. This is a threat to the political life in democracies everywhere, and we have to defend ourselves against that. But since everyone knows in Brussels that this is not something that started recently, and the opinion has widely been that Brussels is full of corruption cases. The question is why the checks and balances or the defense mechanisms did not work. And I would like to say, where were the investigative journalists in Brussels lately in Brussels when these things started to widespread and became daily practice? So I think a lot of people have a to-do list, but I think the most important thing is to drain the swamp. According to the Prime Minister, Mr. Prime Minister, after this corruption scandal, what is the credibility that remained at the European Parliament? Can their role change in the upcoming years? Will they try to place less pressure on the Commission in political matters? Well, I wouldn't like to draw the Commission here because there is no evidence that these threads lead to the Commission as well. So I think this would be an unbased and unfunded allegation. So I think that we should not do that. Would not be appropriate. To what extent the credibility of the European Parliament has been damaged in Hungary, the question is none, because it cannot go to negative. And since the credibility of the Parliament in Hungary was on zero, you could not deteriorate that. Now, Hungary has been accused in an unfounded manner due to Hungarophobia, and only because it goes on its own path and it wants to carry on its own life, and it has been insulted on a regular manner. No respect has been given to the Hungarians. The due respect was not there. So the European Parliament, in the Hungarian general view, is something that you should not really consider. And finally, Mr. Prime Minister, you mentioned mentioned that there's going to be a government meeting in the afternoon. The issue of the chain bridge, would that be tabled? Would the capital, the city of Budapest, get the 6 billion forints that they claim, despite the fact that they have not been up to their commitments? Yes, of course, there is an agreement, a contract, and the lawyers will examine what comes from that. Of course, I wouldn't like to strip them from their funds, but I'd like to say that the chain bridge is a real Hungarian Hungaricum. We have renewed and refurbished it with a lot of money, and then you cannot cross it, you cannot use it, neither by vehicle or anything else. Now, the good thing is that the fish can still swim freely in the Danube underneath. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Financial Times.
Financial Times.
Tiszteletem, Dunai Márton vagyok a Financial Times-tól.
Heartfelt welcome. My name is Márton Dunai from Financial Times. Mr. Prime Minister, I would like to talk about Ukraine and our relationship in 2023. How do you view the diplomatic stances of Hungary in this relation? And at the same time, I'd also like to ask you about your vision concerning Hungary's relationship to the European Union. A lot of people have said that there is no linkage between the two. However, the reconstruction funds and the Ukrainian support and subsidy in this respect, there's been a debate also from EU side. The Czech presidency also talked about a quid pro quo in this respect, connecting the two issues. In March, April, although there are still a couple of milestones to be made and reached, but how can you guarantee that the European and the Ukrainian set of relations could be separate in this setting? I'd be very happy if I knew the answer to this question. This is a dilemma that we have to face on a continuous basis. What really helps is to come up with the principles again and to repeat the principles. In terms of Ukraine, the Ukrainian relation, we have to say that an independent and sovereign Ukraine is a Hungarian national interest. Second, number two, we're not interested in dividing the European and the Russian economy for good. Therefore, what can be saved from the economic cooperation with the Russians should be saved, I mean, in the Hungarian-Russo relations. Number three, we don't want to be drawn into the war, but we would like to give Ukraine all support that humanitarian considerations require. And then there is another linkage here, and this is the question of money. Yes, you see this clearly, that Hungary has always rejected the package-based approach. So me personally, I never accepted that issues of different nature, European issues of different nature, should be linked together. Partly because that would be against the treaties of the European Union, which talks about loyalty, and of course you are not loyal cooperative party if you link two different issues. But also I don't subscribe to this point of view, because in addition to constitutional concerns, because if you do that once in a legitimate manner, then where's the end of the story? Then next time this is not going to be for us, it's going to be against us. So we have not discussed any packages or 4 or 5 issues. We've discussed them separately because the Czechs decided, as you said, that they put the decisions on the same day. If they had the opportunity, they would have made the decision-making on the 4 issues in the same minute. But of course, this is a sovereign right of the presiding party, presiding country of the Council of the European Council. Now,
hogy miért fogadta el Magyarország azt, amit korábban
elnevezett, vagyis, hogy
Ukrajnának
accepted that, I mean, to provide Ukraine with 80 billion euros in this form. Now, we think that this is a bad solution. We agree that Ukraine has to be supported financially, but we think that it is a bad solution that this is not made on an intergovernmental or interstate basis, but through the European Union. The good solution would have been for the EU to determine how much money we should give to Ukraine, and then, as we do it with the European budget, everyone would have given their own part from their own national budget.
És ha ez megvan, adjuk oda az ukránoknak.
once we have the money together, just give it to the Ukrainians. So, first suggestion was that as it happened with the COVID pandemic, with the reconstruction fund, the European Union should, not the European Union, but the 27 member states should just raise loans on the international market, and then this money should go to the Ukrainians. We did not support that because that would never end, and in this case, if any of the states would default in the payback, then the others will be responsible for that. And since, as far as the state indebtedness is concerned, there are countries who have 20, 50, 70% more indebtedness than us, we don't want to be responsible for the trouble they caused themselves by making such a high indebtedness. So we didn't want to have a community of debt community. So we managed to prevent that from happening, and then there was an interim compromise solution saying that, okay, the EU budget should be used as the basis of the loan, and a loan should be raised based on that and should be given to the Ukrainians. This is not a perfect solution because in a bad case, it could result in the fact that the unused funds in the EU budget would not be redistributed to the member states where they originally came from, but would be sent to Ukraine. And if a country does not get a certain amount of money, like Hungarians, at the end, that money could be sent to Ukraine. We would not be happy to see that. So this is far from being a good solution, but is much less bad than the first one would have been. We were alone with this opinion, and my experience is that it's only the worst case scenario when you veto a loan, and if you have to make compromise for the sake of the community, then you have to do that. Again, I would like to say that 80 billion euros is not going to be sufficient. Ukrainians are never going to pay it back. We can call it a loan, or we can call it lending, but they will never pay it back. And it's not going to be sufficient, not even for not for next year, but not even for this year. Therefore, the same debate will come up again next year, because what will happen in 2024? We've just made a decision about 2023. So I think we started out in a street which is quite a one-way street. Another question in this respect: in April, after the elections, you answered my question saying that the most important international task for Hungary was to settle the relations with the Polish. Now, since then, the Polish have a significantly different stance concerning Ukraine compared to Hungary, and this is also present in Ukraine. The polls show that the Ukrainians consider Poland to be the most friendly country and Hungary to be the less friendly country. But take into account that there are going to be elections, and there are going to be European parliamentary elections as well. How do you view the Hungarian-Polish relations next year? Again, let's start with the foundations. There is a Polish-Hungarian community of faith. Now we know that they were on the winner's side in the Second World War. We were on the loser's side, and what they got as a reward was what we got as a punishment. Then we got communism because the West just threw us to the Soviet Union, despite the fact that one of the countries was on the good side and the other was on the loser's side. So the Polish and the Hungarians have a well-funded community which goes back in history to the medievals, and this is a very special set of relations which is of high value. As regards the war, our stance is totally different. It is not the strategic objective, because in terms of those, we do agree. Very strangely, as far as the most important questions are concerned, there is an agreement between Hungary and Poland. What do the Polish say? The Polish say that Russia should be brought in a situation that it would no longer pose a threat to European security. Bingo. Now the Poles say that we need a sovereign Ukraine, which is between our countries. Russia, Poland and Hungary. Bingo. So we do agree in the most important strategic questions. The real question is how we view the war, and here there's a difference. Because the Poles, they think that Ukrainians are also fighting for their freedom as well. But we don't think that. So I don't think that Ukrainians are fighting fighting for the freedom and the safe security of Hungary. They are fighting for their own country in a very heroic manner, but not for Hungary. Ukraine is never going to defend Hungary from anything. Hungary will have to be defended by herself and by NATO. So our security doesn't come from Ukraine. Our security comes from our NATO membership and the Hungarian defense capabilities integrated therein. For that reason, we don't think that the outcome of the Ukrainian war has any impact on the security of Hungary. But the Poles have a different view. If you look at the map, it's not difficult to understand that. Not difficult to understand the differences of our thinking in this respect. Geography explains a lot of things. ATV. Thank you very much. My name is Ildikó Csuha from ATV. Mr. Prime Minister, a lot of people are holding their breath to see their gas utility bill. What can you say, Mr. Prime Minister? Is the government going to review the utility subsidized part, which draws the limit at 144 cubic meters per month, the amount of gas which is utility supported, and 210 kilowatts hour in case of electricity. This system is going to be sustained in the future, and our analysis shows that 75% of Hungarian households is within this threshold. Therefore, the proportion of households protected for utility is 75%, and there is like 25% of the households which have to pay a little bit more, some less. But again, this is in line with the proportion of the affluent part of the Hungarian society. Now, and what if the price of natural gas falls on the Dutch gas exchange? Well, the Hungarian system has always been based on the proverb "nix ugri bugri," that is, don't just skip around. So the Hungarian utility protection system has been criticized, but we just set a certain price level. Market price was sometimes above, sometimes beneath. But if it was beneath, then we just piled up reserves. And Gergő knows very well, for 8 to 9 years, we practically managed to create a same level of price stability. I think this is much better than trying to adhere to the market price fluctuations. And now there is a crisis, but I wouldn't change this stance. I wouldn't like to go through a changing system. We just amended the utility protection system, but from now on we would like to keep it as long as possible. Thank you very much. For months there is a protest of the teachers, pedagogists. They would like to have higher income. Now, what is your take, Mr. Prime Minister? How does Minister Pinter handle that? And what is your take on the position of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, who says that the fired teachers should be reinstated in their position, and they are now therefore approaching Katalin Novák, President of the Republic. Now, there are two different things. Let me just start with the latter one. I do respect the Academy, therefore I'm not going to comment on their stance. But I've never seen in the last 30 years that the Academy requests the government to behave in an unlawful manner. This is unprecedented, and this is how we should take it. Because in Hungary, protest has lawful forms. Period. Now, strike, in addition to protest, is such. These are broader rules than in other countries. In Germany, for example, they cannot go to strike. In Hungary, they can, but this has a lawful manner. And I'm asking pedagogists and everyone else, since laws apply to all, that they should respect these. So they should choose, and I'm respectfully asking them to choose the lawful forms of protest. If they are not choosing the lawful forms of protest, therefore the state leaders can do nothing else, because pedagogists are state employees, that that they enforce the relevant laws and rules. When we make our oath, when I made my oath in the parliament, then I say that I'm going to respect the laws and make the laws respected, enforce the laws. So we have to enforce the laws with state employees. And if we see that they do not act unlawfully, then first we write a letter and ask them to make it lawful. Then we write another letter, another warning, please go for the lawful forms. And if for the third time they don't change their attitude, then we have no other chance or choice just to enforce the laws. And the minister cannot choose between those teachers where they enforce or where they don't. So very careful manner, this is what the ministry does. This is question number one. But this is the less important one. The most important question is the relationship of pedagogists and teachers and parents and students. And of course I support the teachers that their salaries should be increased, and this is why it happened that after 2010 we first managed to overcome the financial crisis and get our heads above the surface of the water. Then the first group of employees who had a salary increase was pedagogists. In brackets I say that we are quite often criticized why the career model of pedagogists is as it is, but this was not our decision. This was an agreement with the trade unions. And of course, as you get older, you have higher salaries, but those who are beginners as teachers have very low salaries. This was not the decision of the government. This is what the parties agreed upon back then. Apparently, this was not a good agreement because there is a disproportionality within it. Young pedagogists get very low wage, and then as you get older, it becomes more and more acceptable. But of course, one thing is sure and certain, we need significant increase for pedagogists. What the government can do now is that this year and next year, last year and next year, we also will have a 10% salary increase. This is what we can say. We can have agreements in certain details with the European Union, because there are certain parts of the agreement where we could use EU funds to increase the salaries, which we would also do without EU funds. But if there are EU funds, we can increase the salaries to above 10% in 3 years. Without EU funds, this would take 6 years. And I really hope that there's going to be a financial solution to fund these well-based demands, but I'm respectfully asking pedagogists that if they don't agree with the political stance and with the professional stance, and if they are unsatisfied with their own situation, then they should choose a lawful form of protest. Let me just add that Minister Gulyás said during the course of one of the previous government info is that civil lack of obedience does not exist, so this cannot be used. Well, in law, this is not existing, so we should not use it in a legal dispute. There are lawful forms of protest and unlawful forms. If you strike, you go on strike, that's lawful. But if you just send a message that you don't go to work today, that's unlawful, however we call it. Governor of the National Bank of Hungary, Matolcsi, just voiced criticism in the Economic Committee of the Parliament. How would you comment that, Mr. Prime Minister? Have you talked to him ever since, and how do you see, is the Hungarian economy close to crisis?
Annyiban, amennyiben az egész európai gazdaság abban van.
As much as the entire European economy is close to crisis. So this is not a Hungarian specificity. This is a phenomenon that the war, the sanctions in response thereof, and the soaring energy prices are pushing Europe towards recession. This is a threat to all European countries. The question is whether you can stay out or not. And the Hungarian strategy is to stay out from that way. It's difficult. Now, professionally speaking, it's a difficult question. You will see it. The next budget will apparently go into the direction of staying out. Therefore, the next budget, again, has been planned with a 1.5% of economic growth. I think that this is not the sign of weakness. This is a sign of strength. Now, as far as the opinion of the governor of the National Bank of Hungary is concerned. Of course, we are continuously in touch. Therefore, I do understand him because we've never seen or very long time ago seen any governor of national bank to be in such a difficult position because they are responsible for inflation. So price stability should be guaranteed by the central bank. Of course, they cannot do it alone, but the lion's share is theirs. And again, they are beyond the 20% dream limit. So there's a huge pressure on the governor. Second, the means and tools they opted for, high interest in the economy. This makes it impossible for businesses to raise loans. So the governor, is a more difficult situation than I am, although my situation is not easy either. So I do understand the governor for coming back with an unorthodox behavior for the public. And my last question, with your kind permission, Mr. Prime Minister, you just said that we are going to increase the age limit of personal income tax shelter to the age of 30 for ladies. 30, but for ladies. Okay, so a lady, if she commits herself to have children, then up to the age of 30, they will have personal income tax shelter. Okay, and then is the baby expecting loan going to be extended in 2023, and also the preferential loan for house refurbishment? Well, we have a lot of subsidies for housing. One is going to be phased out, the rest will stay here. Now, the baby expecting loan, this has been subject to debate, and it had been when it was introduced. I think that the majority wants to keep it, including myself, and not only because
mert szerintem ez egy jó program,
I think that this is a good scheme, but also because we still have that generation in majority in the government who's been into the school of Rudolf Andorka. So family policy comes from Rudolf Andorka, and statement number one was that the only family support that works is the one that can be sustained for a long time. We just introduced the baby expecting loan. Now, what sort of family policy would be if you phase it out after 1 year? No, you have to sustain that as long as you can. This offer will have to be open for youngsters, and then in a couple of years we'll see how many of the people made use of it. But I think after long years, because this is the heart of the Hungarian family support system, we should not touch it, or we should reinforce it instead of weakening it. Bloomberg, please.
Köszönöm szépen, Simon Zoltán, Bloomberg.
Ukrajnában kezdeném.
Ugye azt mondta felvezetőjében, hogy Európa belesodródik ebbe a háborúba, míg Magyarországnak sikerült kívül maradnia. És többek között azzal azt mondta, hogy úgy sodródik bele Európa, hogy működési támogatást ad Ukrajnának. És ugye tudjuk azt, hogy Magyarország is ad ilyen jellegű támogatást, ahogy részletezte, Magyarország vitája nem is azzal volt, hogy ilyen támogatást ad Ukrajnának, hanem inkább az, hogy milyen formában ne tegye ezt. Akkor hogyan lehet ezt logikailag áthidalni ezt a két dolgot?
In what form? How can we overcome this problem? Well, we are 27 of us in the European Union. Well, if we were only one of us, then we would offer peace treaties. Tomorrow, we would send peace delegations and so forth. But unfortunately, we're not alone. So that means that Hungary couldn't manage to stay out because we do give some support to Ukraine. But if you ask the Russians or the Ukrainian, both of them will say that Hungary actually stood out of it. So we did manage to do so. You also mentioned that Hungary's interest is to have an independent and sovereign Ukraine. Many think that sovereignty and independency, the base of that too, is the territorial integrity. What your take on this? Do you think that we can have an independent and sovereign Ukraine in a way that it loses its territorial integrity? No, only when it can uphold its territorial integrity. And does this mean that peace that is actually supported by the Hungarian government, can this peace be created in a way
hogy Ukrajna nem tartja meg azokat a határait, amit will not keep its borders from before 2014. Well, this is what we should agree on. This is what the meetings and agreements and the negotiations are about. But first of all, what we need is ceasefire, not to have any more people, any more mothers and sons and fathers to be lost to some family members. And we should also look at the positions of certain parties. We should try to have a negotiations instead of going on with the war. But our role is not to give advices to any of the parties or the opposing parties. But from the Hungarian aspect, it would be good if we should, lay down our weapons and we should have negotiations. Whether these negotiations will lead to an independent Ukraine, that will only be figured out after we've come to an end of the negotiations. But without negotiations, we won't have any ceasefire. Europe thinks that we need a war and we will fight to protect Ukrainians' territorial integrity. Well, that's up to the Europe. And you've also mentioned that Hungary tries to stay out as much as possible from the economic effect the war has. And also any negative effects it will bring about. When in October the exchange rate was at its lowest rate, the Minister of Finance mentioned that we should think about freezing the exchange rate of the Hungarian forint as opposed to Europe in a rate that it would call RN2, which is the pre-room for the Europe, for introduction to Europe. Well, you said that it's not planned to introduce the EU, but any sober-thinking people would think about to do so. My question is about this RN2, this freezing of the Hungarian foreign exchange rate. Is it on the agenda today? And does the government support it? What's your take on this? No, it's not on the agenda, and I do not support it. That's my answer. Thank you very much. Index, please.
Köszönöm szépen, Holló Bettina vagyok az Indextől. Mint arról tegnap elsőként beszámoltunk Csák János menesztia kultúráért felelős államtitkárt. Az lenne a kérdésem, hogy milyen új feladatokat fog ellátni Hoppál Péter és mikortól.
Érdekes, hogy önnek ezt mondta.
Will be dismissed from his position. Well, it's interesting that he mentioned this. Well, I was told that he will be
lehetőség, ugyanis a kormánybiztosok
government commissioner, and he asked me whether it's possible and what will happen about all those who are not in a traditional position. And he actually asked for a position as a government commissioner for its ministry. To the question why, he says that because he wants to make a government commissioner from Secretary of State Hoppál, Mr. Hoppál, well, whether Mr. Hoppál will stay at his position and in addition he will become a government commissioner or vice versa, he will decide it. And what other authorities he will have? Well, we will have to ask Minister Csák about this.
Előbb részben ez már felmerült, de
We've already
heard about this topic, but
Pintér last week mentioned that he's not an expert when it comes to teaching, but when it comes to leading, he is actually. How do you see his work, his job and what he carried out?
Az én gondolkodásom egybeesik a belügyminiszter úréval, mert én is azt gondolom, hogy a
and why he got an education as his responsibility. Well, I think a leader should lead. That is what his expertise should be. The expert and the profession is something that professionals have to do. Well, if my role be to be a professional in everything, that would not be possible. A leader needs to lead, and that kind of knowledge that is accumulated in the Hungarian community is something that should be integrated in the area that he leads. I think it's just right to do so. Well, in 2010, there was the issue already raised, but with Minister Navracsics, we couldn't realize this. That we also thought that in every 2-3 years, we should actually move the ministries from one ministry to another. And this is something that could increase the efficiency of the government. And, well, that unfortunate that rotation didn't happen, but it shows very well that we, as leaders, we need to evaluate as leaders what expertise should and what role could belong to what position. And I think we were very clear, and I was very clear when I claimed the different roles of the different state secretaries. I cannot add anything else to this.
Meghatározóvá válhat ez az együttműködés az energetika területén,
this cooperation that we have right now in terms of energy, could this be decisive, or we'll have to have new forms of cooperation for the new crisis situation? Well, I think what you're asking is really very well based. Energy, whether energy could become an outstanding area for the V4, the Visegrad 4 countries. Now, this has never been out of question. Let's remember that between Slovakia and Hungary we have a gas interchange pipeline, so we think that on the midterm, energy could be a highlighted issue for the V4s. The problem is that right now energy is being approached from the side of sanctions. So within the V4s, the members do view the whole question in light of what they think about the sanctions. So this is not about professional issues, it's rather political issues or sanction-related issues concerning the war, instead of focusing on energy itself. But we are committed that on the longer term, V4 should have energy cooperation. During the World Cup, you could meet the Prime Minister of Qatar. What did you discuss, and did you make any agreements? We've discussed a lot of things, and we also agreed upon some issues. And we are going to have a longer and very thorough intergovernmental exchange, which will also affect strategic issues. We've agreed upon energy cooperation. We are going to procure energy from Qatar. We also agreed on financial issues, and we also agreed about certain investments coming to Hungary. Thank you very much. Last question. Do you plan in the future to visit Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine? It's not on my agenda currently. Thank you very much. Thank you. 444.
Köszönöm. Hassan Zoltán vagyok a 444-től.
Thank you very much, Zoltán Hostam from 444.
Miniszterelnök úr, ön nyilatkozta, hogy az édesanyja gyógypedagógusként ment nyugdíjba. Mit tanácsolna neki most, hogy hogyan tudná felhívni a figyelmet azokra a problémákra,
What would be your advice? How could she raise the attention to problems that corrective pedagogists should raise the attention to? I don't know if you're aware of these kinds of protests or opinions that the problem is not only about money, but also the circumstances at the workplace, that there are many few of them who are still working. So what would be your advice since correcting pedagogists have to meet a lot of rules and a lot of restrictions? I don't like to mention personal aspects, but since you've already done it, I don't not only look at the question from externally, but from internally as well, because in our family this exists actually. It has nice traditions, and I'm actually very proud of my mother, who has been an excellent correcting pedagogist. Of course, she's already retired. I usually do ask her opinion in questions which are on the table. According to our opinion, this is the following. It would be a very good thing if it could realize. We always wanted to separate the question of having needs and claims coming from trade unions, and now how we should manage these questions in the government, and how we should treat professional questions. My feeling is that it would be good if those two things wouldn't be managed by the same person. That is why we've created a pedagogic chamber and the faculty, and our impression was that we always have to negotiate with them when it comes to the circumstances, for example, but the professional questions should be discussed with professionals. So we actually have to negotiate with the pedagogist and with the faculty of pedagogists about question how to, what kind of working circumstances they would like to have, etc. I try to operate that structure, but of course there are still room for improvement in that aspect. The faculty for pedagogists also see that firing pedagogists make the situation of education even harder. Yes, that's that's true, but protests, unlawful death unleashed thereof, is not something that we should talk about with pedagogists, but the Ministry of Justice. Law is something that we are not above. I have to reiterate myself. If we are not adhering to the rules, we cannot negotiate. About civil disobedience, teachers should go into their work. But in 2017, exactly when there have been civil disobedience, dismantling the cordons, you actually didn't go into the parliament. You've announced civil disobedience, and you've claimed that you have to show, be an example for youngsters, because there is a point that you cannot cross. What's the difference between the current situation, which actually situation is actually claimed rightful by the government itself, because teachers try to protest to an end that is claimed rightful by the government as well. So you've mentioned that we should adhere to the rules. Well, should you have, did you adhere to that in 2017 or not? Well, it's very difficult to go back in time, but if I remember correctly, when we dismantled that cordons, the request was not to raise their income, but the problem was that it was a breach of law, breached by the government itself, and we wanted to do a symbolic gesture to oppose that. Well, today everyone can protest freely, as are made possible by laws, but back then there was a clear breach of the law by the so-called state and police government. So I do not think it's advisable to compare the two issues, and we have a completely different way of working. I do remember, I can't remember working less than 10 hours in a day, whether we have had cordons or not. My last two questions, if you allow me. One, that György Matolcsi, and one of the analysis of the central bank, said that the price caps are increasing inflation to 3%. And what do you think about that? And what do you think is the inflation rate has become double as the average rate in the European Union?
I think Mr. Matolcsi's response was quite clear, because it is the National Bank of Hungary that is responsible for price stability and price levels. Therefore, the same analysis is carried out by the central bank, which we know and which we accept. I have certain doubts about the price cap, because it's difficult for a lawyer as I am to understand that if there's a price cap, why would that cause an increase of prices? But it's rather the relation is different. So if there is any price regulation that we've introduced in the last 30 years, regardless which government did that, bankers always protested. So this is a difference in opinion between bankers who are against any price regulation and also price cap, which is a price regulation. I try to explain them very politely that I understand, but price regulation is not because of bankers, it's because of poor people, and for them it's important. My last question, after the World Cup final, Zsolt Bayer, who is a well-known figure of the media, also said that the winners are white people. Now, why is the color of the skin so important for you, for your government? Because in Tusványos you also said that we don't want to be a mixed race. They said that whites won the World Cup. Why is that important for Fidesz? Well, it is not important for me in football. Take into account that also in the Hungarian national team there are not only monocolor people. But then why don't you talk about racial mix and also ethnic homogeneity to be kept up? Because ethnic homogeneity is always depicted in a negative manner, and they say that an ethnically homogeneous population is less valuable than a mixed one. Then I don't agree that. But this is not philosophy, this is history. You know, there are some who are like this, some who are like that. AP gets the floor. Thank you very much, Justin Spike from AP.
látszik az elmúlt
It
hetekben,
is
hogy
visible
Magyarország
in the last
kormánya
couple
keres
of weeks
új
that the government of Hungary is looking for new
Katarban,
energy
vagy
sources
Omanban,
in Qatar,
Azerbajdzsánban.
in Oman, in
A jövőben
Azerbaijan.
lesznek-e
Next year,
más lehetőségek
will
az
you have
asztalon, hogy
other
különböző
opportunities on the table to
energiaforrásokat
diversify
megszerez
your energy mix so that Hungary can lay hands on other energy sources as well? Are there any specific objectives in terms of how the government would like to decrease its dependence, its exposure to Russian energy sources? Is it an objective that sooner or later we would phase out Russian
Nem is
energy?
úgy fogalmaznék, hogy leszokjon
I
az orosz
wouldn't say
energiáról,
that we would phase
hanem hogy
out
az import energiáról
Russian energy,
szokjon le.
but to phase out
Most
import
az éppen
energy.
orosz-e vagy máshonnan
Whether
jön,
it's coming from Russia
ennek van
or
jelentősége,
elsewhere,
csak
of course it
másodlagosan.
makes a difference, but
A
only a
kérdés az, hogy
secondary
önellátó
difference.
tudunk-e
The
lenni,
question is
vagy sem.
whether we can be
És itt egy olyan dolog
self-sustaining.
van,
And there is only one thing here,
ami rossz
one thing here, which is
érzéseket kelt bennem az elmúlt
triggering
években
bad feelings in about the government policies of the recent years, and this is POCS 2. It was in 13 and 14 that we decided that POCS 2, our second nuclear power plant, should be built. Should we have POCS 2 up and running today, we would just, do a snap of a finger and we would have energy. I've tried everything, but either I wasn't bold enough or I didn't find the right path, but POCS 2 was always hindered by everyone, the Hungarian opposition. We lost a year. Brussels also hindered it. We lost another year. We had to renegotiate it. And I always think whether we should have done something differently in order to be able to complete this program earlier, because it was planned to be up and running by 2023. Just imagine that in 2023 we would have a POCS 2 running, POCS 1 would be extended, we would have 63% of our energy supply from POCS, and then, we would have no problems whatsoever. Hopefully not only me, it's not only me who think about that, but also those who hindered this project. The real question is that it's not about whether it's Russian or non-Russian, whether we can be independent from import.
Egyelőre az üzemanyagát az atomerőműnek a
the fuel of the nuclear power plant is imported, although we also have uranium deposits, uranium reserves that we can offer in exchange. So the less exposed form of energy is nuclear energy in Hungary.
De a sopánkodáson kívül csinálunk-e még mást?
Now, whether we do anything else than just crying like a baby, so this is the implication of your question. Hungary is a landlocked country, therefore we can get energy through pipeline only. There are two types of pipelines, cable and pipeline. Cable brings electricity, pipeline brings gas. This is what we're doing. We are now amid a huge cable network construction deal and effort together with Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Romania. If I'm not mistaken, in 2010, the gas pipeline connection of Hungary with the external world there were two interconnectors, cross-border interconnectors. Now we have 7, and we're increasing that. And we're also in negotiation with ports. We have agreement with the Croatians so that we can use Croatian ports to receive LNG, liquefied natural gas, brought to those ports and then transported to Hungary. So we are exploring programs like that continuously, but what could bring salvation is POCS 2. Thank you very much, Mandiner.
Köszönöm Kacsó Dániel Mandinártól. Kicsit még POCS-nál maradva, jelenállás szerint milyen akadályai vannak annak, hogy begyorsuljon adott esetben a beruházás, tekintve azt, hogy az európai és az orosz gazdaság egymásról való leválasztása az öles léptekkel zajlik.
Are to be made independent from each other. Well, the danger that can be arose from your question is something that we've managed so far. So it's correct if you ask the question whether we can expect the European Union to separate itself from Russia when it comes to nuclear energy. We can happen in a form that producing nuclear energy and the assets that is required to do so will be put on the sanction list. They did some
efforts to do so. Peter Szijjártó, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary, made an attempt to do so, but actually we have to be able to protect the whole nuclear energy industry from the sanction list. In April, if I remember correctly, Prime Minister also offered Budapest as the venue for peace talks. Do you assure that offer? Well, Hungary has a constant offer to that. It's not the lack of venue that causes not to have any peace talks, but the opposing parties and the great power behind them are someone who do not have the intentions. I would like to reiterate my opinion that there are a huge need for American and Russian negotiations. Without that, there won't be any peace. Accessing the European Union for those not yet joined parties. What do you think? How is it affected by the inflation rate? The hectic fluctuation of the Hungarian foreign exchange rate points out that the value of the Hungarian forint and the solid base of the Hungarian economy are something that are not interrelated. So an economic performance of a country cannot change that quickly as the exchange rate can. So the Hungarian forint is something detached from the accomplishment of the Hungarian economy, and that is a good reason to be joined to a wider
Tehát van érv az euróhoz való csatlakozás mellett. De ezt az érvet én kisebbnek tartom annál, mint hogy az euróhoz való csatlakozás
so I think,
elmúlt 20 évben személyesen is látott tapasztalataim szerint lelassítja a gazdasági növekedést.
Experience gotten in last 20 years is something that would slow down the Hungarian economy, and we have an example to that in our hands reach, which shows that very well. So I think if the Hungarian economy wants to catch up, wants to grow, that it's better to stay out of the Eurozone. If stability is something more important to catch up economically, then we should join the Eurozone. But I think the former is something that's more important for Hungary. The authorities of Hungary are working in the issue of the already mentioned 3 billion aid and funds. Does the government do any steps in order to clarify this kind of foreign support and the background thereof? Well, currently we have an investigation ongoing. We will see after that. Last question, is there any going back for the Fidesz to enter again the European People's Party in regard that today we have a serious agreement with the European institutions, which, well, the question is whether the European People's Party can again gain the favor of the Fidesz. Well, my answer is no. BBC, thank you very much.
Nick Thorpe from the BBC.
Nick Thorpe vagyok a
BBC-től. Alkalmat.
I'd like to use this opportunity to say and to encourage the Prime Minister that you shouldn't be afraid of independent and international media. So if you would give us more interviews, and we shouldn't be forced to go to churches, hospitals, border crossing points or cafes to get a word from you, we would be very glad. And this Hungarophobia, if this exists in the world, that could decrease that if we had more opportunities for personal interviews. Myself, I've been waiting for an interview for 14 years just to mention this point. And my question comes now, and I'd like to phrase it in English.
How isolated do you feel in Europe today, Prime Minister,
elszigeteltnek érzi magát miniszterelnök úr Európában, és milyen szakpolitikai, politikai döntések vannak az ön tarsójában, hogy felülemelkedjen ezen az izoláción. Láttam Bukarestben, hogy ön erősen támogatta Románia Schengeni csatlakozását, de milyen más konkrét politikai intézkedések vannak a tarsójában, hogy az izoláltságot megváltoztassa? Úgy gondolom,
reasonable way we should make a distinction between being isolating and disagreeing. So it's not that these two things are different, so they are not the same. They are not equal to each other. Ha megengedi, magyarul folytatom. Tehát Magyarország számos kérdésben nem ért
I'm going to continue in Hungarian. So Hungary does not agree in a lot of questions, but this is not isolation. Isolation is different. Isolation is when you do not participate in joint big decisions in which you would like to participate or which would be in your interest. Now this latter one is not the case. A European EU member state and a NATO member state cannot be isolated. It could not be agreed with and we could not agree with others or no one else, but this is not an isolation because we are part of the decisions. We do participate in the decision making, which is the decision making of our community and which determines the direction of our community or communities. In addition to that, Hungary, you who
az elmaradt interjúk helyett nyilván a magyar történelmet
instead of the interviews that did not take place, you were studying Hungarian history. At least when we talked a lot to one another, I saw that you have very thorough knowledge of Hungarian history. So if you quote that, I mean, happenings, events of Hungarian history, you know very well that since the establishment, the founding of the Hungarian state, Hungarians have always been believing in connectivity, as they say it nowadays. So Hungary always participated in a cooperation in such a way that it maintains connections with other parts of the world. If you look at the first kings of the Arpad dynasty up until the Austro-Hungarian Empire, you can see that. And the continuity thereof is also there in our policies. So since Hungary is part of a community and therefore cannot be isolated, at the same time, it also always fights against the blocks to be established. Because if there are blocks coming, in terms of military terms like decoupling, as we say, then Hungary is going to be a loser. So if there are blocks created, then Hungary has always been a loser of foreign policy. Now, if you look at the map, if blocks are being created, then we always become the eastern periphery of the Western world. But if there is an east-and-west cooperation, then we are the center of the world. So Hungary is always aiming and always seeking connectivity. This is why we have good relationship with Russia, with Romania, with China, and we don't want to abandon Russia either as well. So these are all values according to the 1,000 years history of Hungary. These are all values.
Ezért a bukaresti út is egy
This is why my trip to Bucharest was valuable, because we managed to establish a cooperation, Georgia, Azerbaijan and Hungary, which has never been contemplated that such a cooperation would happen. And I'm free to give interviews as soon as I have something to say. Just to answer revolvering, questions of journalists, this is not an attractive offer to me. If I see that there is a real opportunity for a real consultation, real interview, when they want to know what we think about things, and not how to stab the bull with the pika, how to stab the bull with the spear, then you probably understand that this is something that I should not be preoccupied with. But if there is an opportunity for meaningful interview, I would never say no. Thank you very much. RTL, please.
Köszönöm szépen, Kéri Barna vagyok az RTL-től. Többször előkerült már az oktatás, illetve az egészségügy. Még egyszer föltenném a kérdést, amit talán már el is hangzott, de azt hiszem, hogy nem jött válasz. Miniszterelnök úr bízik-e még Pintér Sándorban? Bízik-e abban, hogy Pintér Sándor vezetése alatt olyan tárgyalásokat lehet folytatni mind az oktatásügyben, mind az egészségügyben, amelyek megoldásra vezetnek, vagy a megoldáshoz közel lesznek.
The case right now? Are we going on that path? Of course, but also, well, unfortunately, the actors in the branch are not always saying that. Well, we have to work on that. What is your message to those people who, well, now before Christmas are going to the grocery shop and they would face with that record-breaking inflation rate, while in Europe, while according to research in Hungary, we have the second lowest rate when it comes to the whole labor market. My question is, the reason for my question is because you've already talked about earlier in connection with utility rate reduction that if we cannot pay our utility costs, that we should earn more or consume less. Is it still true? Well, the way we can help people to be able to earn more is that we reduce their tax. That is how the government can help. That is why we always reduce the taxes every year, and we will do the same next year. We would like to have people to earn more. That is the government's explicit aim. But the VAT tax does not reduce it. But this has been a long debate. We've renewed it in 2010, but of course we can rediscuss this. The Hungarian tax system has attractiveness, and the key to its success is that the tax that is burdening the labor is at the lowest rate in the whole of Europe. And instead of that, we gather the tax through consumption. That is a question of tax philosophy, and I do not intend to change that. We've already talked about the responsibility of the president of Central Bank.
Orbán inflációról beszélt, azt mondta, hogy
Governor of Central Bank already talked about your government's activity, which contributes in 67% to inflation. That is, it raises the inflation rate 67%. Well, it's actually an honoring thing, and I'm honored that Péter Tölgyesi talks with such respect about my personality. But well, I do ask you with respect to turn back to this question, the latest end of next year, when we already see the effects of inflation. You also mentioned, or we've also talked about the European Commission, why it didn't provide money to Hungary and to Poland. Does this mean that in having resources and funds intended to Hungary be frozen, do you think that it's not the responsibility of the government? Did you do everything correctly? Yes, in this respect, everything. Of course, it's not true to each and every area of life, but in this respect, yes, we've conducted our business correctly. So why do you think that, or what did you take on to make changes in 27 points? Well, because the union asked us to do so. We didn't initiate such thing, but they asked us to do so, so we did everything. But is it, how will you do anything, any changes? Well, they didn't ask us to change anything, but to create new things. Well, good luck for that. Partly we've already mentioned this question. You've talked about it to Sványos, to phase out the gas. That is how you put it. How we are at this issue right now. What is our test? Of course, gas consumption has been reduced, but can we actually entirely phase out gas, and by when can we do so? If POCH 2 is realized and in operation, then we will be able to hugely reduce gas consumption. Up until then, we had to do tiny corrections. This is what we can do. This is all we can do. We try to create rules and restrictions when it comes to state institutions to reduce gas consumption 25%, which will release the burden on the pressure, but it won't solve the issue. So this under marine cable that you've announced recently, is this also those tiny correction measure? Yeah, well, by the time it will be implemented, it's going to be 2027, 2026, 2027. But until then, we will have to agree with the financing of that construction from more European parties, and we have to brought a cable, an electric cable underneath the sea. So it's actually something that we can imagine that it will be realized by 27, 26, but I think an entire structural solution is can only be brought by a nuclear solution.
I'd just like to make one correction. For years,
az egyfőre jutó GDP-je egy országnak az pontosan mennyi.
The GDP per capita was the figure we used to use for measure, and I think that this is really important because when now they start to examine who is spending what, and now who is spending what and what they are saving is an individual decision. However, if we look at the GDP per capita, that's an exact figure. So In this term, Hungary is already, there are already 7 countries which are behind the European Union, behind Hungary. So if you want to see the real situation of the economic performance of a country, then let's take this metric. Thank you very much. Very briefly, corruption of the European Parliament has been mentioned, and on the other side of that is Qatar, allegedly, where you went last year. During the course of your discussions, negotiations, was that topic tabled? Did your negotiating partners react to respond to that news? No, not in any form. Did you ask anything about that? No, because this is our problem, not their problem. Thank you, Telex. Thank you very much. With your kind permission, my name is Tomáš Fabian from Telex. Let me start with another question. You're going to be 60 next year, and you've been leading the country for 16 years. Angela Merkel was 16 years old after 16 years of rule when she retired. Now, have you thought about your active career, how long that would go in politics? Well, it's a different mathematics that I'm using. I've been in opposition for 16 years. And this year, if I get to the end of the year, then I will be in government for 17 years, which is only 1 year more than the opposition years, which is not sufficient. I don't think that it's time to retire because, again, all in all, the beauty of this profession is that if you deserve the trust of the people and you can do something for your homeland and your people, then it's better to be on government than in opposition. But again, the difference is only 1 so far and not 16, so I wait longer. Have you thought of how long you're planning? Look, in our profession, and this is not why we're here today, but you never know how long you can stand the course. One day you see that you are stronger than the lion, and then the next day you think that you're 100 years older than you used to be. And I saw the other part, the other side as well. Adenauer, who seemed to be an old, broken man, and then he became a chancellor, and then earned the admiration of the world. So this is not like football, that after a certain age, you have to think of what will happen to you. No, the Almighty God will decide that instead of you. Well, I have another question in this respect. Do you see anyone in Fidesz who you would consider to be your heir? To follow you, to replace you? Well, I see only faces like that, so you have to be very careful. All of them are like that, but this is not the reason I came here. Well, instead of lifestyle questions, if you have real questions, let's switch to that. Okay, so they're not answering that. Good. György Matolcsi, his statements when the governor said that significant foreign raising of loan, this is the plan of the government. What do you say about this allegation? It is going to be needed, it is going to be necessary, as I mentioned. We paid 7 billion euros for energy in 2021, in 2022 17 billion, and this year, I mean next year, we're probably going to pay approximately 17 with God's help. If God wouldn't help us, that would be like 20 billion or 21 billion. We will have to make up for that, and of course it is the job of the government to make a funding plan of the country, which we are doing, and there's going to be a press conference about that. So there is a Ministry of Finance funding plan, how we will handle that. So this is manageable, and the Minister of Finance knows how to do that. Do you have discussions with the IMF how to do that? Okay, so you can rule out that you will raise IMF loans. Well, we are more conservative than necessary in this respect. So IMF is a question of sovereignty for Hungary. We could have meaningful discussions with IMF, and the financial tools and means and schemes offered by IMF are quite often favorable, but they always are tied to conditions. And these conditions are normally painful for the people. Therefore, IMF is anyway a boogeyman in the Central European world, and this means that you're losing partly your sovereignty because you were not able to solve your financial problems on your own and with the help of international markets. This is why everyone is afraid of IMF. So we have the order. Okay, IMF, best interest rate, but politically the worst conditions.
legrosszabb pénz az
Number
uniós
two,
pénz.
EU
A
money.
harmadik, ami a legjobb pénz, az a pénzpiaci
Three,
pénz,
the best
mert ott
money
nincsenek
is that comes from the capital markets because there are no terms and conditions.
Nem mondják meg neked,
It
itt
is
az unióban vagy az IMF-ben, hogy
with no
csinálj
strings attached, as we say, okay? The international. So they don't say that you should walk on your hands, you should sing in soprano and so forth. So best money is always the financial market, capital market money. So there's going to be no IMF loan. No. Okay. Again, thank you very much. Let's go back to education. On the 30th of November, again, 8 pedagogists, 8 teachers were fired, have been fired, and you said that there are warnings. Now, before these terminations, did Sándor Pintér consult you? He doesn't need to consult me. I expect him to enforce the law. He should consult me if he didn't want to enforce the law. But okay, the question comes up is because this is a sensitive political area, which again has given big momentum to the issue of education. Yes, but I don't agree that. I don't accept that. If the Hungarian Prime Minister makes compromises based on political sensitivity in lawfulness issues, then everything will fall apart. Because then, you know, healthcare workers will not go to work, then the police officers will not go to work, and then military officers will not go to work. So there are lawful means, lawful ways of protest. And the reason this happens is because a state employee, a state administration person, if they do not work, that's a huge damage. So this strike was invented that, you know, if the worker doesn't go to work in the factory, then this is going to damage the capitalist, the owner of the factory, and then from the profit he will pay more. But the state employees cause damage to the state. So it's very important in the state sector that protests should be according to the lawful ways, because otherwise, you know, parents could not place their children, or we cannot have health care and so forth. So in the state sector, it's very important not to start out from political considerations, just to respect the law. And this is why it's important that the Minister of the Interior writes letters to those who do not follow the lawful ways of protest, 2 letters, 3 letters eventually. It's not about showing force, demonstrating force, because who is going to be damaged? Okay, Le Monde gets the floor. Le Monde.
Le Monde? There was a question from Le Monde.
Volt egy kérdés a Le Monde-tól.
Then the colleague there. Adjuk oda az úrnak, jó? 24 pont.
Then 24.hu.
Köszönöm szépen, Nagy Gergely Miklós a 24.hu-tól.
Miklós Gergely Nagy from 24.hu. I'd like to ask the Prime Minister, what is the state of the Hungarian public education in your view?
Szerintem jó, hogyha
I think
a
that
magyar miniszterelnök,
it is
meg
good
általában
if the Hungarian Prime Minister and any political leader, instead of their own judgment, would listen to those who are affected in the given issue. So what is the state of the education should be decided by the parents, the students, and the teachers. They are the ones who can give you a clear answer. I accept their opinion. And of course, sorry, there's another actor, and which they are the employers, because the alumni are going to be, so the former students are going to be employed by them, the employers. And it's important what sort of knowledge the students, alumni possess when they go to work. So these are the ones who tell you when the government is talking of salary when it comes to education. I'd like to ask the Prime Minister, please name 2 problems in the field of education in which we should proceed, we should improve, we should solve. Well, experts don't need my help, they have a long list. And I do take each and every item on that list seriously. Yeah, but what is your take on that? I'm not the minister responsible for education, but you probably have an opinion. What are the main problems in public education other than the salaries? I'd like to help actors of education to increase and improve the level of education. I don't want to enforce my opinion upon them. It's a different stance. So shouldn't there be 2 points that you would like to highlight, saying that this is where you need to agree? Well, the 2 things that I thought was important important time made decisions. So the government made decisions. What were these then? Well, this was physical education at school and also religious education in school. Were the two most important problems of Hungarian education? Well, the mental and physical health of Hungarian youth is the two most important problems. These are the two most important. I would also like to ask you about economic questions. The Orban inflation as a term has already been mentioned today, but from the previous answers I understood that the government and the head of the government thinks that they have no responsibility whatsoever, that in the European Union Hungary has the highest inflation according to the November figures of Eurostat. Do I understand correctly that the Hungarian government had no role, or you personally as Prime Minister, no role in having such high inflation? Well, inflation is the result of a number of factors, and this is something that the governor said, and I do agree. And none of these factors are attributable to the Hungarian government? Well, there are some that could affect the Hungarian government. One is that the governor says this is the question of the exchange rate. It is very important to look at the charts and to see that since we are not part of the Eurozone, therefore the exchange rate changes are immediately affecting the price levels. The second question is the productivity of the Hungarian economy, and this was also mentioned by the governor. And the third is the high Hungarian indebtedness, state indebtedness. We took over power in 2010 by 82%. Now we are at 70-some%, so we are lower than we were 12 years ago. So these all play a role. The most important one, however, is the question of the sanctions. Should there be no sanctions, it should be no energy sanctions in Brussels, and the ferry would just use the wand to do away with the energy sanctions, then Hungarian inflation would half or maybe go down to 50% or even more. In 2022, this was described by yourself as the most difficult year after the political transformation. In this year, the government levied extra profit taxes and certain residential advantages were abolished or partly abolished. My question is that in 2023, can you rule out that new taxes will be introduced, like extra profit taxes, or further residential advantages will be disabolished? No, we did not abolish such advantages. We introduced new ones. 13-month pension, tax shelter for those under 25, repaying the personal income tax for most of the families. So exactly the speciality of our economic policy is that we do not respond with austerity measures to these difficulties. We respond with measures that have the opportunity of growth. Again, we had investment record in Hungary. So in the known history of Hungarian economy, the most investments, the highest level of investments happened in 2022. We created jobs. So our philosophy is not austerity. Our philosophy is increasing economic activity which is producing energy and which will drag the economy out of the crisis. But I think we are in a different solar system. Well, utility decrease was partly done away with, and also price caps were done away with, and also quota, which was a favorable tax for entrepreneurs, that again was phased out. So measures like that cannot be expected in 2023. Is my question. Well, I think that within days, maybe today, the 23 budget will be approved by the government, which will be enforced from the 1st of January. We are going to submit it to Parliament immediately because emergency measures we always submit to Parliament. Parliament is going to discuss that, but of course, by the 1st of January, the country could not be without a budget. So we can have, as early as today, we can have a decision and approval of the budget. which will send to the Budgetary Commission, and then all of the measures are aiming at helping people and not making their lives more difficult. When did you last talk to Vladimir Putin? Personally? Personally or on the phone? Well, personally, it was in early February when I was in Moscow, and on the phone, when I was participating in the funeral of Gorbachev. Okay, my last question. You have a special relationship to Vladimir Putin, and I think you know him very well. What is your impression about the fact that how long the Russian president wants to carry on with this war? Well, the Russian president does not discuss these questions, issues with the Hungarian prime minister. This is what I can tell you. Thank you very much. PPA would get the floor. Gero, please.
Yes, Gregor Meyer, German press agency, TPA. Prime Minister, Mr. Prime Minister, after all the quarrels and the conflicts in the European Union, within the European Union, after all these threats of cutting funds, isolation, so-called disengagement, or homophobia, pressurizing, is there a trajectory, or can you imagine a trajectory at the end of which you would, on your free will, leave the European Union?
You mean Hungary getting out?
Yes, after all this, what you call homophobia, humiliation, whatever.
No problem.
Hozzászoktunk ezekhez, semmi gond.
Köszönöm szépen, Inforádió.
Thank you very much, Inforádió.
Jó napot kívánok, Herceg Zsolt vagyok az Inforádióból. Nehéz tervezni ebben az időszakban, adódik tehát a kérdés, hogy a 2024-es költségvetést benyújtják szokás szerint tavasszal, és az országgyűlés elfogadhatja nyáron, vagy ezúttal erre nem lesz lehetőség.
Nagyon nehéz kérdés, és nem tudom most még megválaszolni. Sikeresnek tartom azt a magyar költségvetési tervezést, hogy a megelőző évi július 1-ig, tehát mondjuk a 24-es költségvetést, azt 23
always accept the next year's budgetary plan until the beginning of the summer. But if the situation and the circumstances are very hectic and are fluctuating very much, then it's worth to think about it. It just happened that we've approved the budgetary plan for 2023 at 1st July, but if you think about it, how many things have happened between 1st of July and today, which of course are also affecting the budget. Well, I would not rush with giving the answers because we we can't actually see what kind of year is ahead of us. So the question of our way of accepting the budget is something that we will only be able to answer later. Or will you be able, and are the intention there to change the next year's budgetary plan when it comes to, or with regard to the inflation rate? Well, it always happens when, if we see during the year that the inflation rate became higher than we planned, then we usually make an increase in the middle of the year. And when we do that, it's actually happening in November. This is something we do, we often do. We have this agreement with pensioners. I've agreed with about that with pensioners in the shadowing light of the recent years, that until there is a national government in Hungary, until then we will preserve the value of the pensions. If you look at the last 12 years, how the pensions have changed, we've not only preserved the value thereof, but also increased, because we've actually could reintroduce the 13th month pension, which we've actually not taken on in 2010. We didn't know that we will be able to do so, but the Hungarian economy became capable of this. So I would like to adhere to that agreement, so pensioners can count on government. They won't be the losers of the situation. We have a problem.
We do not fair, and also with Tungstrom. What can you do for the employees? Well, what we can do is that we create at least as many jobs are ceased to exist. Well, this same happens in Dunaújváros. We created a lot of jobs in Dunaújváros with the help of a South Korean company that put it. Now, the steel plant of Dunaújváros is close to our heart, but I've never seen anything more complex and difficult, because it's difficult in itself to spot who the real owners are. We don't know whether they are under sanctions or not, whether they're Russians or Ukrainians. And of course, there are like 500 million forints of debt that they have, so if anyone takes that over, it's going to be a huge pressure. The whole thing is so chaotic that it's difficult to describe it in a conventional manner. Despite that, we are carrying out discussions to do that. My last question, what is the stake of the government concerning the new Ukrainian minority law? Well, look. In the shadow of the war, I think it doesn't sound well what I'm saying, but till 2015, there was a regulation in Ukraine which created peace for minorities living there, including Hungarians. This was just very suitable. There was peace. It didn't harm anyone. And in 2015, they just took away our rights. Over 100 schools have been discriminated ever since. Well, because of the war, now one feels that it's not time to open up such a debate with the Ukrainians because they are fighting for their lives. But despite that, a fact is a fact. And we're not going to help Ukraine's international integration, any participation in any integration force. We are not going to enter into bilateral agreements in this respect until this question is tackled. And we don't understand why they give back what they took away. The law that you asked about me gives back nothing. Euronews. Euronews, please.
Senuda Nóra vagyok az Euronews-tól.
My name is Nóra Senuda from Euronews. Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to ask that after voting in favor of the 9th package of sanctions, are you still going to carry on with the campaign against sanctions?
Of course, because here there is a misunderstanding or misexplaining. We oppose any kind of sanction whatsoever. We actually oppose the sanction policy as a whole. If it was on us, there won't be any sanctions. We would manage all this with in a much narrower circle. Sanctions are not good. That is what we know. We won't vote for it. We always talk against it. But at the end of the day, the EU will be the one deciding. So we are not vetoing it. But you should say only that we didn't veto the sanctions, but I did not support any sanction whatsoever. But we can't raise a veto every time because that would dismantle the whole of the European community. But we only use veto when it comes to national interest, and then we take that on. But we can't do it every day. We did not support sanctions. We won't vote for them. The only thing that happens is that we won't veto it, so we won't hinder all the other 26 countries to enter the sanctions into force. Let's stick with the government and the sanction. The government has caused the EU sanction for the fuel panic that broke out in November. Can you mention a sanction that affected the Hungarian economy but has not affected the oil market of the EU? How much time do I have to think about it? Well, I should just go on and replay all the sanction measures in my head, which was actually more than 100 out of that. But were there any sanctions? Because there were no other fuel panic like that happened in Hungary anywhere else. Fuel panic, you say? Yeah, there was a period where there were huge queues at the petrol stations and people could not obtain fuel as they needed. But that was created, or that was due to the fact that we are Hungarian. Here in Hungary, if the news goes on that we will run out of fuel, then everyone will go there to tank their cars. So some kind of processes are not in connection with certain economic measures, but the way we live, we Hungarians live. Thank you very much. And how, if you feel that the forced relations within the European Union has been changed by the rule of law procedures, and did the government have drawn any lesson from that procedure? Well, the rule of law proceedings was a mistake. We've actually told that when it was started. It is called the rule of law. So actually,
In order for the law to rule, we need clear definitions and clear standards. So the topic of rule of law includes topics as the freedom of press, freedom of education, question of sovereignty, justice, serving justice. There are no clear definitions. There is no clear definition of rule of law that are widely accepted in the European Union. Let me mention an example. In Germany, the prosecution are under the government, and sometimes the prosecution is actually ordered by the Minister of Justice. So, because in the German rule of law system, this is something that they can do. Well, imagine in Hungary, the prosecutor would be ordered by the Minister of Justice. Well, that was a scandal. That would create a scandal. So the problem is that there are no clear European definitions and standards. And without those, if you create a procedure without those clear definitions against a country, the end of that will not be a rule of law, but the rule of man, which means the man would rule others. The definition or the term rule of law was created to avoid not to have a situation where one man forces its intention to another man. So what the EU is doing right now is that some people who are dealing with rule of law are oppressing some countries against which they launch those procedures. So if there is a lesson to be drawn, is that the system of rule of law should be eliminated because it creates just the opposing result as they intended to have when they created the whole procedure. So the rule of law is something that disintegrates the whole of the European Union. That is a nail in the grave of the European Union. I was thinking of, or what I meant, that maybe the Hungarian government will carry on debating the EU in the same method that it has done, so not accepting the basic fundamentals of the EU. As you say is a mistake to have this rule of law procedure because the terms are not clear. In the future, will you have the same debate? Will you stand up to these debates? Well, the question if we will remain Hungarians or we will fight back. Well, then yes, we will remain Hungarian, we will fight back. Okay? I only have a short question. Someone just asked whether you will re-enter the People's Party. You said no, but is there any information that before the EP elections, will there be any informal group to be formed within the EU? Well, we are working on that, to that end, yes. Thank you very much. We will wait for the Polish elections. Thank you, Blake.
Köszönöm, jó napot kívánok, Balázs Barnabás vagyok a Blikta. Külpolitikával kezdeném. Az amerikai politikát elnézve úgy tűnik, hogy Donald Trump erős kihívót kaphat a republikánus oldalon a floridai kormányzónak a személyében. Kit támogat ebben a versenyben? Ki tart mellett?
Szerencsére semmilyen jelentősége nincsen, hogy kit támogatunk, és mi lojális fajta vagyunk, tehát mi kitartunk a barátaink.
Két hete volt évfordulója annak, hogy kipattant a Völner botrány. Találkozott azóta Völner Pállal, beszélt vele esetleg? Mivel ugye szabadlábon van, ezért akár összefuthat vele miniszterelnök úr is az utcán. Ha ez megtörténne, akkor mit mondana neki?
Barátsággal? He and how is his case? Would you greet him friendly? Well, I would ask how his case is. Until he's not convicted, I would look at him as an average Hungarian citizen who was actually put under persecution. Last question, 1.5 weeks ago.
Is that János Volner and János Bencsik, two opposition representatives got very good positions from the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Well, we hope that they are fit for the job, and I'm really glad if the Minister of Foreign Affairs tries to follow the principle of not conducting foreign policy on a party basis, on a partisan basis. And of course, if there is anyone in the opposition who can align with the minimum standards of our foreign policy efforts, then of course why not? Even if they come from another political family, I think think there is nothing wrong in that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs gives them good positions. Yeah, but is there any intent in the fact that opposition politicians who have not participated in the opposition joining of forces, now they get good positions? Well, since these are not political decisions, but technical decisions, you should ask the MOFA, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Thank you very much. CCTV, please.
Thank you, Mr. Kovács.
Köszönöm szépen Kovács Zoltán úrnak. A kínai központi televíziótól teszem fel a kérdést, és Kínából a kérdés miniszterelnök úr felé az, hogy ön valószínűleg érzékelte, hogy Kína enyhít a Covid politikáján. Önök aggódnak-e Kína gazdasági magára találása miatt a pandémia után, illetve mit mondana a kínai-magyar együttműködésről a múltban és a jelenben és a jövőt illetően? Köszönöm. Köszönöm szépen a kérdést. Hogyha megnézzük a legutóbbi évek statisztikáit, akkor meglepő változásokat lehetünk tanulni, hiszen korábban évtizedeken keresztül az első külföldi befektetők itt németek voltak, leginkább néha az Egyesült Államok, de mindegyik nyugati irányultságú volt. Az elmúlt 4 évben azonban a vezetője ennek, tehát a külföldiek magyarországi befektetésének, az Kína és Dél-Korea váltják egymást folyamatosan az első 2 helyen. Úgyhogy a keleti befektetési politika, amit mi nagyon-nagyon támogatunk, és nyitunk kelet felé az olyan országok irányában is, mint az önöki, akik érdekeltek abban, hogy Magyarországon beruházzanak.
Tehát
ezt folytatjuk. Most
legveszélyesebb folyamat, ami a világban ma zajlik szerintem, az, amit a brüsszeliek decouplingnak neveznek.
The most dangerous process that is going on in the world is called decoupling by Brussels, which is actually against the isolation. And there are certain
nagyon nagy hiba lenne.
suggestions vis-à-vis China as well, to decouple China, to isolate China. Now, this would be a major mistake. We should do everything that between China and Europe and between China and Hungary, the best economic relations would be in place. You are no longer only consumers of the latest technologies of the world, but you are now producers of the state-of-the-art technology. The know-how that is born in your country, these are more recent than the ones we have. And this technological know-how and the supply chains based on that is something that Hungary does need. So the Hungarian government really supports that the emerging countries of the Eastern world be also in place in addition to the collaboration with the West. And what we would like is not only that you create jobs in Hungary and create value in Hungary, but we also want to go to China. We would like to invest there. We are present, although the presence is quite small yet, but we would like to make China significant among the investment targets of Hungary. Az utolsó kérdésem, a Fudan Egyetem továbbra is a napirenden szerepel-e, és van előrehaladás? Továbbra is napirenden szerepel.
Meg vagyok róla győződve, hogy
I am convinced
miután Ázsia fölemelkedik,
after Asia rises, there are 2 types of knowledge in the world. Western knowledge and Eastern knowledge, Occidental and Oriental knowledge. And unless we know the Oriental concept of economy, well, the Occidental, we won't be able to cooperate with the East, and we don't want to be locked into Western knowledge. So everything that comes from Asia is valuable, university knowledge, everything, but not only China, also Japan, also South Korea, because we want to be there in the Eastern economy as well, and we want to find our place in there. And this is about language, this is about culture, and this is about knowledge, and this is why I support these programs.
N1 horvát televíziót.
N1 Croatian television, please.
Thank you. Jelena Bokun from
Köszönöm szépen, Jelena Bokun vagyok a horvát televíziótól, Zágrából. Néhány kérdésem van, hogyha elmegengedi. Válaszolhat angolul vagy magyarul, ahogy gondolja. Az első kérdésem a horvát vezetéket illeti, ugye a horvátok, magyarok is beszélnek arról, hogy Magyarország azt kérte, mind Horvátországtól, mind az Európai Bizottságtól, hogy árengedélyt kapjon az olajan, tehát az Adria vezetéken történő olajszállításra, de voltak spekulációk arról, hogy nem lesz olcsóbb az ár, sőt magasabb lesz a jelenleginél, valószínűleg 80%-kal, mondja a magyar média. Hogyan kommentálja ezt az értesülést? Illetve azt kell mondanom, hogy Filipovics horvát gazdasági miniszter tegnap azt mondta, hogy Horvátországnak megvan a képessége, kapacitása arra, hogy Magyarország teljes igényét kiszolgálja, de ezt meg kell fizetni tisztességesen.
Valóban ez a vita tárgya.
Well, yes, indeed, this is the subject of the debate. We want to pay fair price and you want to get fair price, and the two things are not in line. This is why we need to enter into discussions, and we entitled the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade to discuss with you, so try to convince you that as we understand the fair price, this would be not detrimental to you and also acceptable. Kapott-e választ az Európai Bizottságtól? Kaptak-e választ az Európai Bizottságtól? Még nem. A második kérdésem
mission of the European Union, which among other regards training of the Ukrainian soldiers on the soil of the EU member states. Hungary isn't a part of it. Croatia isn't also. The Croatian Parliament voted no and rejected it. What do you think of the decision of Croatia? And I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but the Croatian President Zoran Milanovic agrees with you, and the Prime Minister thinks we should have been a part of this
miniszterelnökünk viszont úgy gondolja, hogy részesei kellett volna, hogy legyünk ennek a kezdeményezésnek.
Croatia
úgy gondolom, hogy Horvátország
the sovereign country with long history.
So szuverén ország, hosszú történelemmel. Ez az önök döntése.
I don't think that Hungary can serve any measure to any Croatian decision, so it must be good or bad on own basis.
Horvát döntéshez, hogy ez jó vagy nem jó, ezt önök döntik el.
Just probably one small correction.
Talán csak egy kiigazítást.
We are taking part in one small piece of the training process.
Ennek a kiképzési folyamatnak egy kis részében. Nem tudom, hogy ez szanitétek tekintetében, tehát szanitéteket képzünk ki,
azt vállaltuk, hogy nem veszünk részt ukrán fegyveresek kiképzésében.
So we said that we will not train Ukrainian armed forces, but we are training medics. We are training army medics for the Ukrainian army. Megkérdezhetem, hogy mi volt a legfőbb oka, amiért visszautasították ukrán fegyveresek magyarországi kiképzését? Nem hiszünk a fegyverekben.
We would not like to finance the military equipment
finanszírozni a katonai eszközöket sem, mert a magyar álláspont az, hogy ez nem a mi háború. Szeretnénk mindenkit arra sürgetni, hogy a lehető leghamarabb béketárgyalásokat kezdjenek, először tűzszünetet, aztán béketárgyalásokat. Ez okból Magyarország mindig is kimarad a konfliktus katonai aspektusaiból. Köszönöm szépen, egy utolsó kérdést kell feltennem. Novemberben részt vett
between, if I'm not mistaken, Hungary and Greece.
Magyarország és Görögország közötti, ha nem tévedek, barátságos meccsen, és egy nagy Magyarországot ábrázoló sálat hordott, ami Horvátországot is Magyarország részeként tünteti fel. Ez novemberben történt. Mi volt az oka ennek, hiszen nagyon sok bárat ért önben. Most csak azért nézek körül, mert tudnia kell, hogy ebben semmi különleges nem volt. 1100 éves országról beszélünk.
Historical symbols.
Történelmi szimbólumok vesznek minket körül. Hogyha akár itt is néz, akkor ez ellen is lehet protestálni, hiszen ez is 200 évvel ezelőtt származik, vagyis láthatatlan olyan szimbólumok, amelyeket a múlt században használtak. Tehát ez az oka annak,
on my behalf, I always make clear difference between what you call Big Hungary and what I call historical Hungary. So Big Hungary is an intellectual creation of how you could be bigger than you are. But I'm not part of the coalition, I'm part of the historical tradition. Hungary was, it's a historical country which was like the symbol shows. Go to the Hungarian parliament, nobody never protested why these symbols are there, because it's an old country that belongs to the history. So that's expressed the national unity and so on and so on. So therefore, historical symbols is normal part of our life. It's nothing extraordinary, nothing special.
Business as usual, may I say. You didn't do it to provoke anyone.
I would have been far better ideas to do those.
Hát nekem sokkal jobb ötleteimben lennének, ha provokálni akarnék másokat, és nem
ezt használnám. És az utolsó kérdés lehetőségét még Brian Péternek megadom.
Peter Brian, please.
Ez már tradíció, köszönöm.
This is already tradition. Thank you very much. Mr. Prime Minister.
Kínai újságíró kollega föltette előttem a kérdést,
Chinese journalist colleagues already asked this, but I do want to stick to the topic of China. The member states of the European Union are negotiating in the back office, in the back room, where when it comes to China, they envy each other, but won't the problem be the same the same that arose when it came
illetve azoknak a lehetőségei, ami beruházásainak vice versa Kínával mégis létrejöjjenek minél előbb.
Project and other investments that should be created when it comes to the Chinese and the European relations. What you pointed out, this is an existing political problem of all liberal political system, that it's very difficult for them to avoid hypocrisy.
Ugyanis nagyon erősen az értékekre összpontosít, és a valóság ugyanakkor gyakran ettől kritizálnak mondjuk egy országot, ahol tegyük a nagy sportesemény van, az emberi jogok miatt. Majd elmennek és lesznek tőle gázt.
Due to human rights, and then they go there and buy gas, and then they say bad things about it and insult that country. So it's not easy, not an easy thing to be a liberal. If you want to be an explicit liberal, you want to always justify what you say, what you do, then you will just face a challenge when it comes to real policy, because there won't be a case when you can create a practical real political negotiation and agreement. And why I brought this up, this just happened in connection with China. If I look at the statistic, whose trade with China has increased, I will find some countries which are attacking China with a full mouth. These are not good things. It wouldn't be clarified that the principles have a place and pragmatic cooperation also have a place, and we should not mix that two. If the European Union do not cooperate with the Chinese economy, it will lose its competitiveness. That is why we must cooperate with China, and Hungary will do everything in its power so that in this debate, which is actually an open debate in Europe, whether it will be, it should be any cooperation, and we will support that cooperation. Well, you've just mentioned, Prime Minister, you mentioned that there have been two very important things when it comes to education, physical education and religious studies. In the recent 2 years, when it came to the pandemic and the war, the two crises, I think many thought that the government achieved a lot and the performance was excellent. Despite the economic hardships, is there any hope that for the next year government would support this civil church organization as it has been doing recently? Well, I would be very careful with this issue. For a long time, we've known each other. You know that I'm passionate when it comes to creating a strong Hungary, so I do not like the way of managing the problem which weakens the country. I always look for a solution that solves the issue with coming out stronger of that crisis. Whoever does any sport, you all know that there are two ways of gaining strength, is either to do some diet and make those muscles look better, or to gain more muscles. Well, now we will just diet a little bit. Well, last question. There is a friendly country where Hungary goes by very positively, and the European Union and also highlights the hypocrisy of the European Union. That is the Jewish state. When will you visit that state, and when
kollégájának a sikerhez, és mennyire fogja a két ország a gazdaság és egyéb kapcsolatait szorosra fűzni, annál inkább, mert ugyanazt vallja, mint az a miniszterelnök Benjamin Netanyahu, hogy nem avatkozik bele ebbe a háborúba, és csak is egészségügyi és humanitáris segítséget ad. Azon kívül, hogy a migrációt is ott kell megoldani, mint hogyha össze is beszéltek volna, hisz szó szerint ugyanazt mondják, mikor lesz ez még szorosabb, és mikor látogat el Jeruzsálembe.
Nemzetközi politika az olyan, hogy az ember barátokat veszít, aztán barátokat kap vissza.
International policy is about gaining friends and regaining friends, and it's nothing better than to have a long-known friend to be greeted on the board again. So it's not a big secret to say that we do respect the sovereignty of Israel, and we do not want to intervene in the domestic politics of that country. But I can say that we were very happy to the end result that happened there, because when
volt a miniszterelnök
Netanyahu
Izraelben, akkor az izraeli-magyar
was the prime minister in Israel, then the Hungarian and Israeli relations were at the highest level. He was the first prime minister who, after 30 years, visited Hungary. For 30 years, there has been no Israeli prime minister who visited Hungary, and he actually came here and he opened a new chapter in Hungarian-Israeli relations. And since then, the economic, military and security and cyber cooperations, all those are on the right path. I, of course, congratulated him already. In fact, we have been discussing some international political questions. We are awaiting for him to make his oath and to form the government, which might be happening today and during the holidays. And once I will be visited, of course, I will be happy to visit that country, and we do hope that that will uplift the connection between the two countries. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. colleagues, members of the press, thank you very much for being here today, and we wish you a Merry Christmas. Thank you very much.